You know, in the off-season, all we do is talk about next season, next year, with a lot of anticipation and discussion and wonder. Well, we don't have to wonder anymore. We are here. Good morning and welcome, folks, to day 2, Saturday morning. It's practice here at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg in Florida. It's a little breezier today, as you can see there on the Andretti team member's shirt, or rather Ganassi, pardon me, Linus Lundqvist. Lee Diffie, Townsend Bell and Kevin Lee with you to get this day going. And it's been warm, but the breeze is helping yesterday's conditions, which were warm and humid. And for this 45-minute session, we're up at 78 degrees already. There's a slight chance of some showers. We'll see. We'll cross our fingers. Hopefully we'll get all dry conditions for this practice session in the lead up to qualifying.
Look at this weather. 78. Humidity, yeah, a bit high, but the track temp ideal for go-fast conditions here in St. Pete. This place never disappoints, whether you're on a yacht in the grandstands or sitting right here in the broadcast booth. It is always a pleasure to kick off the season in Florida. And yesterday, boy, they got after it with a vengeance and a lot of quick times. The car is 25 pounds lighter in the current spec. And a lot to sort out for some of these teams. For others, they picked up right where they left off last season. Andretti Global Crew goes to work on Colton Herta's car. Let's see what happens.
Big lock up into turn 4.
That's that left front lockup we talked about yesterday. There's that big bump in the braking zone for turn 4. You'll see it here in slow-mo. Could be cold tires, cold brakes. Maybe the need to make some bias adjustment. Well, speaking of focused and committed, how about this guy who also had an unusual 2023 season in that he didn't have a win either. He didn't have a pole. Pato O'Ward still finished 4th in the championship, and he did it on consistency, which is what he needed to find. And I think what Pato probably wants this year is to match consistency with those peak performances. Find this Aero McLaren back in victory lane. Get this Aero McLaren back to victory lane. We talk about how he's got fast hands. You go from Will Power to Pato O'Ward. Those are the 2 fastest hands, I'd argue, still in the series. Pato was 2nd yesterday in practice on that alternate Firestone tire. Let's ride for a few corners and see what he's dealing with here on the blacks.
Just signed a two-year contract renewal, multi-million-dollar deal, and why wouldn't you? What a brilliant young talent.
Well, and you love to see that now in IndyCar, and I've been talking with a few of the team owners this weekend just about this rapid trajectory in terms of increase of driver compensation. It came out, I believe, in the court proceedings with McLaren going after Alex Palou was O'Ward's contract in terms of demonstrating how they were damaged perhaps in this process. And I think it was Pato was like $4.5 million or something was reported in terms of annual salary. These are back to numbers we haven't seen, for 10 or 15 years. Few drivers making in that $4, $5, $6, maybe even $7 million range. It was only a few years ago that we were lucky to see a handful of drivers making $1 million plus, and I think it just speaks to the quality of the IndyCar field, the competition, the investment that a lot of these teams have secured in terms of sponsorship, new ownership coming in, and Pato O'Ward now breathing that rare air in terms of some of the most highly compensated guys in the sport.
Here, this is Alexander Rossi for Aero McLaren. Spot the predominantly white color scheme for Alexander on the 7. It's his 2nd season for this organization. Just the one podium last year for him. A little bit of frustration, a little bit of settle in time, but now familiar surrounds. He can get about it and try and go after another championship. From those times that he had with Andretti, now Andretti, not Andretti Autosport anymore, just Andretti, where he was a seemingly championship contender year on year. A little bit in the wilderness last year, so he wants to get back in the zone where he feels he belongs and at the front of an IndyCar field.
Well, and a big adjustment for Alexander Rossi this year in terms of a new race engineer. Craig Hampson leaves the team, will end up back at Andretti Global, and Chris Lawrence comes in as the new race engineer for Alexander Rossi. I was talking with James Hinchcliffe earlier about that. He said, Rossi sat next to Lawrence in a lot of the debriefs. It was the engineer for Felix Rosenquist last year, and Alex just really liked the temperament and the vibe, but there's nothing like doing it for real on the first weekend. As you see Brian Barnhart, the strategist for Rossi, looking on. That stays consistent year over year. But making a change in terms of the guy responsible for taking Alex's feedback and turning the knobs, adjusting those settings on the IndyCar and trying to come up with the right combination that'll make Alex hopefully even happy.
This guy's pretty chill, the Indy 500 winner and new Andretti driver in the Delaware Life Honda. It's Marcus Ericsson. He's got a refreshed helmet design too. He's pretty proud of that, and he is just happy at his new home. I don't think he wasn't unhappy at Ganassi, not at all. It's just circumstances, right? Contractual circumstances. He has landed with Michael and the gang, and he loves his new place.
Yeah, I was talking with Brian Herta yesterday, who calls strategy on the 27 of Kyle Kirkwood, and asked him about Marcus Ericsson. He said he just brings so much experience to this team, and there's a real calm. Brian thought just because of his age, his accomplishments, not only in IndyCar, but also the Formula One experience. And Brian's a big fan of this consolidated, concentrated Andretti Global team. Just 3 cars this season, coming down from 4 last year. They were 4 for a long time. And I just get the early sense, Diff, that contracting that team to just their 3 best teams and people is going to be a really good thing for Andretti all season long.
A refreshed focus. This guy's refreshed and focused. Augustine Canapino for Junco's Hollinger. Let's have a look what happened to the Argentinian driver just a moment ago. Where is it? What is it? Coming onto the front straight. NBC it. Does he go a little wide and tap the wall?
Never too early for a kiss and a cuddle.
That's what they say.
Right up there, rubbing concrete, but just perfect, actually. There's nothing but an ideal circumstance there in terms of maximizing the radius. And don't forget that turn 14 is really turn 1 to start a timed lap for practice and qualifying based on the position of that alternate start-finish line.
Why is Kyle Kirkwood out of the car with 20 minutes to go? Let's have a look.
Oh! Got a little
guy just took a pretty big hit.
Snap there in turn 2. And it's going to take him about 30 degrees of left-hand down steering to get that thing back to pit lane as we see the right rear there. See that thing wobbling.
And that was a not-so-subtle reminder of the pitfalls of a street circuit. It was loud, it was harsh, and it's damaged his AutoNation mobile Honda.
Oh, wow. Look at that puppy. Right there. Upper control arm, upper A-arm. Lower toe link as well. Look at that. Not something, and the lower A-arm as well. So all 3 suspension components, and presumably the drive shaft needs to be inspected as well. That's not something you're going to fix with 19 minutes to go. And even if you could, you still have to get that thing on the setup pad, make sure it's optimized. So not the end of the world for Kyle Kirkwood, but certainly not a way you want to end up in this valuable practice, really important race running practice, qualifying setups potentially that you're going to want to try out here. All right, we'll talk every season, it seems, about Ganassi and Penske. This year, I'm sure, will be no different. Right now, we've got Penske's in 1st, 2nd, and 6th. I look at Chip Ganassi racing. Armstrong, an unexpected guy, 2nd day in a row, leads Chip Ganassi racing. And then if you go further down, you've got Dixon in 14th, Alex Palou in 20th. Is it too early to start being a little concerned for those powerhouse Ganassi drivers? Dixon and Palou should factor in the top 10. There's no reason to believe they won't, but there's just 10 minutes to go in the 2nd practice, and we really haven't seen that pop just yet.
Also not in the top 10 is Graham Rahal in the 5th third bank Honda. What's going on, Kev?
22nd yesterday, and Graham said it was a really sloppy session. They couldn't find the balance of the car. Let's get an update of where they are today. Right now, 16th on the board.
I can't brake. This car won't do the downshift, so I cannot brake late into 4. Copy.
Hey, Kevin, that seems identical to a year ago.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. I remember him telling me all weekend we can't get the braking figured out. And then, I forget, did he qualify 20th, something like that, and finish 5th or 6th? He said we finally got it sorted by the race and then had an opportunity to do it. So I'll find out after this session if it's the same feeling or if it's a different type of braking issue.
I mean, it's bizarre when you think about exactly that issue a year ago here, and then all of the improvements the team seemingly made to deliver a win for Christian Lundgaard mid-season.
Podium for Graham.
And Graham must be thinking to himself, how, exactly my confusion, how is this possible? Something is just not lining up. What about Lundgaard? The 45's on pit lane.
12th place at the moment for the Danish driver. He sits behind Alexander Rossi, ahead of Marcus Ericsson.
Little brake fire there on the right rear as well, just as we went away from the onboard. Looks like they're going to get maybe an extinguisher or a fan. Fan comes out. There's the flame. See that on the inside of the wheel. I don't need my circle to see that. You can see those flames licking. I think you might need more than a little bit of a leaf blower.
Oh, yeah. It's not going anywhere, is it?
No.
They need a little bit more.
At this point, you're going to start lighting off the carbon cover on the inside of the rotor, maybe even a brake line. Some of that material likes fire a little bit more than the rotor. Oh, now they got to get after it. Get the extinguisher, get water. Here it comes. Got wheel speed sensors in there. So Graham complains of brake issues. Christian comes to pit lane and reveals brake issues.
Yeah.
So I would venture to guess that maybe there's too much blanking on the rear ducts, perhaps. Same thing here for Colton Brown with a huge opportunity, again, at the last second to jump into this. The white, red, and black number 51, and see if we can make some magic happen. For Colton Brown, it's totally different. He's never seen this racetrack before. He's just trying to understand the percussion of the vertical heave of the car on all these bumps, try to make it start to feel like some muscle memory is taking over, and he's been very methodical so far. He's last on the time charts right now at a 102.8. That's a full second off Pietro Fittipaldi, who is in 25th right now. But Colton Brown just needs to finish this weekend running every lap on offer. That would be success for him.
Linus Lundqvist is the lead rookie. No great surprise there in 14th place. He heads what is a super talented rookie field. This year is going to be an interesting talking point for us all the way across the season. Final 4 minutes on the clock. There's Kippen Simpson, another one of the rookies, ahead in that bright blue and yellow Journey Honda for Chip Ganassi Racing, the 19-year-old.
What an incredible opportunity for Kiffen Simpson to come into a new 5-car expanded Chip Ganassi team. I mean, golden opportunity for a young driver to learn. Kiffen has so much great information to work from, as does Christian Rasmussen here, teammates to Rinus VeeKay at Carpenter Racing. I'll tell you, we talk about physically preparing your body in the offseason for your first IndyCar go. Had a chance to talk to Christian Rasmussen at dinner the other night. I'll tell you what, his neck is bigger than that profile pic. That guy's been working hard to get his head and neck ready for all of the IndyCar G-forces that are a big step up from Indy Next.
Hey, so Christian Rasmussen has the enviable title of saying that he's only the second driver to win on every step of the road to Indy ladder. What happened here? Super fast section of the track into that final turn. There is not a lot of runoff there. Good work. Good catch. That could have been pretty ugly. So Rossi there with a good catch in that Mission Foods onboard. I think, based on last year, and based on what we know about this super talent, he needs to come out of the blocks here firing. He needs to win this weekend, or at least be on the podium to set the tone for this new season.
Yeah, but you know what? I think Colton Herta should also be comforted by the fact that he was the top performing Andretti driver last year in points. He didn't have the 2 wins like Kirkwood, but he delivered and finished 10th That's not what they expect, but he's expected to be the best performing Andretti driver.
But I counter that with that's exactly where he finished the season before.
Yes.
And for a talent like him, that's not enough. And in his words, he'll tell you that's not enough.
But I think Colton Herta's smart enough to know that it's not him and him alone. That the pressure's not all on him as the driver. The pressure's on him as the driver and team leader, as the quarterback of the organization, to make sure that everything's working as powerfully and as cohesively as possible to deliver the setup that they appear to have now here on track. And that's the key. That's what you see out of a Newgarden or a Scott Dixon or an Alex Palou, is leadership, not just in the cockpit, but 24/7 with the team.
Folks, at 2 p.m. Eastern this afternoon is qualifying. We love IndyCar qualifying anywhere, but to start the season on a track like this where the margins for error are so slight, qualifying is exhilarating this afternoon. It's going to be awesome.
So much rides on starting position. But even if you don't qualify exactly where you think you belong, this race does deliver unpredictability. Maybe better than just about any place during the season, save for a Detroit, Nashville street circuit. Has given us some really good, chaotic, unexpected moments as Colton Herta looks to be making a rear bar adjustment there.
And that's the session done. 2 different session toppers with Felix Rosen.
Keep me updated on traffic.
Yeah, copy that. Big 7.
Felix Rosenquist fastest yesterday after practice 1. Colton Herta a little frustrated with traffic, communicating that to Rob Edwards and the Andretti team. He tops session number 2. Perfect way to lead into qualifying this afternoon for the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Pete. And you'll see that live on Peacock, wherever you're watching around the world. There is Joseph Newgarden. He was up there second fastest. He'll be happier with that compared to yesterday. Leading into qualifying this afternoon, Scott Dixon, the PNC Bank Honda. Will he feature? Can he be in that Firestone Fast 6 and vying for a spot on the first 3 rows? And what about this guy? Rinus VK in the AskROI.com entry for Ed Carpenter Racing has been consistently quick this weekend. Really nice job. P5 yesterday, P6 early today to set up for a really good job going into qualifying.
I'll tell you what, how about P5 Roman Grosjean? We talked about him earlier in the session. What a way to start his relationship with Juncos Hollinger Racing. That is impressive. He was 7th yesterday. He is right in the mix. Good call from JHR, picking up the free agent and letting Roman Grosjean go to work on the streets of St. Pete. McLaughlin makes it 3 Team Penske cars in the top 10. There is Scott Dixon entering the fray. P9 along with teammate Marcus Armstrong. So things starting to tighten up a little bit over yesterday. That's just what we want as we get closer to qualifying.